वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Okay, so today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Samam Bonam, Chapter 24, which is Worshipping Govardhan Hill, Text 9. Okay, so please repeat after me. Tam Tata Vayam Anye Cha Vahmucham Patim Ishwaram Dravyaihi Tatretasa Siddhaihi Yajante Kratubhi Naraha Tam tatavayamanyache Tam tatavayamanyecha Varmucham patimishwaram Dravyaistadretasa siddhair Yajante kratubhirnaraha Tam tatavayamanyecha Varmucham patimishwaram Dravyaistadretasa siddhair Yajante kratubhirnaraha Tam tatavayamanyecha Varmucham patimishwaram Dravyaistadretasa siddhair Yajante kratubhirnaraha. Tam tatavayamanyecha Varmucham patimishwaram Dravyaistadretasa siddhair Yajante kratubhirnaraha Tam tatavayamanyecha patimishwaram Dravyaistadretasa siddhair Yajante kratubhirnaraha Atavayamanyecha Varmucham patimishwaram Dravyaistadretasa siddhair Kratubhirnaraha. Mataji. Tam tatavayamanyecha Varmucham patimishwaram Dravyaistadretasa siddhair क्रतुभिर्नराः तं तात वयमन्ये च वार्मुचां पतिमीश्वरम् द्रव्यैस्तद्रेतसा सिद्धैर्यजन्ते क्रतुभिर्नराः तं him tata my dear son vayam we anye others cha also vah mucham of the clouds patim the master ishwaram the powerful controller dravyaihi with various items tadretasa by his liquid discharge siddhaihi produced yajante they worship kratubhihi by fire sacrifices naraha men. Translation purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: not only we, my dear son, but also many other men worship him, the Lord and Master of the rain-giving clouds. We offer him grain and other paraphernalia of worship produced through his own discharge in the form of rain. Purport: Nanda Maharaj patiently tried to explain the facts of life to his young son, Sri Krishna. But in fact, Nanda and all the residents of Vrindavan would learn an astonishing lesson as explained in this chapter. I'll read the verse again. Tam tatavayamanye cha varmucham patimishwaram dravyaistadretasa siddhair yajante kratubhir naraha. Not only we, my dear son, but also many other men worship him, the Lord and Master of the rain-giving clouds. We offer him grain and other paraphernalia of worship produced through his own discharge in the form of rain. So this discussion, this particular pastime is about worshipping Govardhan Hill. Nanda Maharaj did not have the idea of worshipping Govardhan Hill. And this festival of worshipping Indra has been going on for many years. So Krishna has actually witnessed it many years also. But when he's, or rather when he has matured to some extent, then he's asking these questions. And Nanda Maharaj is responding to Krishna's inquiries. So several words have been used here, which we'll discuss one by one. And one thing that we have to clear here is that although apparently it may seem that Nanda Maharaj is recommending demigod worship, but we have to understand that Nanda Maharaj is on the topmost level, a pure devotee of Krishna, and we aspire to serve the Lord at least to some extent the way Nanda Maharaj serves. So although this may seem that he is justifying demigod worship, Nanda Maharaj is justifying demigod worship by giving various reasons in the previous verse also and this verse also. But this is for the sake of pastimes, right? It is for the sake of creating a situation where what Krishna wants from his devotees could be established properly, and what he recommends to all the devotees who are studying this pastime should understand. So it's a teaching. Govardhan Lila is basically a teaching where we are instructed not to worship demigods. Correct. So this also is sung by the Acharyas coming in disciplic succession from Nanda Maharaj onwards. Narottam Das Thakur sings this very nicely. Anya Deva Shrenai Tumare Kahila Bhai E Bhakti Parama Karan. So if one wants to attain the topmost level of bhakti, then he should never worship demigods. Again, anyway, in due course of time, we'll be seeing a lot about demigod worship. And of course, in Bhagavad Gita also, there are several verses, 10 to 11 verses, in which Krishna, he rejects Devata worship or demigod worship. So the point is that although it may seem that Nanda Maharaj is recommending it here, but that is not so. So he addresses Krishna here with this word Tata, which means my dear son. So Tata is, this is a word which is used in, or which the father spoke to his son, or the guru speaks to his disciple to express his intense and genuine affection for his disciple or for his son. So Acharyas, Sri Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they comment on this particular verse, this particular word, Tata, and they say, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifically says that Nanda Maharaj is using this particular word because he's saying that this worship of Indra has been going on for years, probably decades also. And from the context, we also know that when Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva met, then Vasudeva tells that Nanda Maharaj was quite old at that time when he got Krishna as his son. So, of course, they have been worshipping Lord Narayana, and so many past stories are there, Dhara and so on. Drona and Dhara, Nanda Maharaj was Drona, then Yashoda was Dhara in their previous lives, and then they performed tapasya, and then they got Krishna as his son in this life, and so on. But the point is that Nanda Maharaj has achieved or attained Krishna after a very long time. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that he is using this word Tata because he's saying only by performing these kind of austerity, these kind of worship to Indra, we have got you as our son. Of course, we have to understand that this is not, as we said, the Nanda Maharaj is not recommending demigod worship, but then he's using this particular word to justify what he's doing. And he also says that it is not something which I'm doing it for myself. We have been doing this for years and years together, and this is all for the welfare of citizens, welfare of people. And my dear son, you are also happy when you go for herding the cows and calves, that there are pasturing grounds, there are lots of grass on the field, there are trees in which, on the shade of which you can play with your friends. So all these things are provided by Indra. So Indra is basically serving us in that way. And therefore, we are indebted to him. We have to pay our gratitude to him. So therefore, this particular worship has to be done out of feeling of feeling of gratitude, not ingratitude. There will be fault of ingratitude if we do not do that worship. But we have to show that gratitude. Therefore, we are worshipping. So then Jiva Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, in continuation of this particular conversation, he comments that how is it that Indra is considered, why Indra worship is happening around, why Surya worship is not being done. Because the clouds are formed by the evaporation of water, and that happens by the presence of sun. So Indra is actually not independent in that way. He is dependent on Surya Dev for the evaporation, then only the clouds will be formed. Otherwise, how will the clouds will be formed? How there will be rain? So you have to go to the source. Worship sun, Surya Devata. Why Indra Devata? Why Indra should be worshipped? So then he responds to that in his typical style. He responds to that in Vishnu Purana, he quotes a verse from Vishnu Purana, and he says that water on earth is evaporated by sun rays, and with these clouds, Parjanya rains on earth for everyone's welfare. So although it may seem that, or rather not it may seem, but actually sun is only evaporating all this water, but who is doing the welfare activity for all the people of this world? Now, water may not be available everywhere, right? There is ocean, there are rivers, but then these rivers may not be available all over the land. So sun will be absorbing water from these different water sources, but then what the cloud does, the cloud spreads around and showers rain all over the world by giving benefit to the people. Because this rain is giving benefit to all the people all over the world. Therefore, from the perspective of people's welfare, it is Indra who is to be worshipped because he is engaged in welfare of all living entities. And not only human beings, but all the vegetation. Agriculture can happen only if there is rain. Then all the living entities sustain on water. We cannot say that living entities sustain on sun. It's required for heat and for other purposes, just like air is also required. But life is sustained through water. So in that way, Indra is superior in that regard, and he is to be worshipped. And in the Rig Veda, there is a story, this is a very famous story, it comes in Bhagavatam also, of Indra killing Vritrasura. So in Rig Veda, this is very specifically elaborated upon, that Vritra basically means who is the personification of drought, or one who hinders, or one who stops, or one who covers rain. So when Indra killed Vritrasura, then Vritrasura was tormenting all living entities because he has created a drought kind of situation all over the world. So Indra, by killing Vritrasura, he has brought welfare to all people of this world. Therefore, he is to be considered as king of all the devatas. So he is superior in that way. Therefore, Indra is to be worshipped. And we see, in Rig Veda, this is very prominent. And in fact, in all the other Shruti scriptures also, this particular story comes of Indra killing Vritra, and it is glorified in that way because Indra brings welfare to people. When last class, Savisachi Prabhu also mentioned about this Karma Kanda rituals. Brahmanas and Samhitas are this Karma Kanda. And when a person who is in this material world, he's materially inclined. He wants to perform, he enjoys sense gratification, he wants comfort in his life. And for that purpose, whoever gives him the benefit, whoever gives him satisfaction, whoever gives him comfort, that person becomes worshipable for him. So Indra, in that regard, is worshipped throughout the Shruti scriptures for that particular purpose, because Indra provides rain, which is the nourishing factor for all the living entities within this world. So that is there. And this is how it used to be. So therefore, he is also best of the devatas, because none of the other devatas could defeat Vritrasura, but Indra was able to do. And of course, the internal reason is that when Indra defeated Vritra, it was by the mercy of Krishna. So that is there. But still, this is how the Vedic tradition is being followed. And being a king, Nanda Maharaj has responsibility. When we say king, it's not a Kshatriya king. Nanda Maharaj is a Vaishya, but then he is the leader of all the cowherd men within Vrindavan. Right? So he has his own palace in Vrindavan. So he is the king, and as a king, he is supposed to do those activities which are for the welfare of the citizens. And in fact, even the Kshatriyas, when Krishna was there, even Maharaj Yudhishthira also, he performed various sacrifices for different devatas. And of course, these pure devotees had the understanding, or the proper philosophical understanding, that when they are worshipping the demigods, they are worshipping, or they are doing the sacrifice for the universal form of the Lord, of whose different limbs are these devatas. So that understanding was there. And as Nanda Maharaj is the king, he is supposed to take care of the citizens. So therefore, his justification is that he is performing the sacrifice for their welfare. And the conception of worshipping Indra is rooted not only in tradition. So here it says, Nanda Maharaj says that Tam Tata Vayam Anyacha. So Vayam, whatever I am doing, Anyacha, the others are also doing. So it's not that I am the only exclusive person who is performing the sacrifice. Everybody else also performs this sacrifice. And Yajante Kratubhir Naraha. And this way it is being done by all the great men also. So this is one pramana. Pramana is, there are three types of pramanas mentioned in Bhagavatam. There is four types. So there is, what are the three pramanas? Completely. Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabda. And there is Aitihya also. So Aitihya is also part of Shabda, but in Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, these three are mentioned: Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabda. And then there is Aitihya. So the worship of Indra is Shabda Pramana. It's given in the Vedic literatures. And it's Aitihya also. So that is what is being mentioned in this verse, when he's pointing out that it's a tradition. Other people have been doing it, and this kind of yajna has been going on. And we also understand that this does not come, or when Nanda Maharaj is saying this, it's not that only other people are doing contemporarily at this point of time. There has been problems because of Indra not giving rain, which is mentioned in different scriptures over different millenniums. So there are so many other instances like this. Famous one is mentioned in Ramayana, where in Romapad Maharaj's kingdom there was no rain for 12 years. And then after that, when he consulted with his ministers, with his brahmanas, then they said Rishishringa has to be brought because he's a very strict brahmachari. When he comes and he enters the kingdom, then rain will come, and then for whatever service he has done, you should give your daughter Shanta in marriage to Rishishringa. So that is one instance. There are other instances also, and we can understand that Nanda Maharaj is actually aware of these instances. And even in Krishna's pastimes also, at several places, different historical stories are being quoted by the Gopas, by the Gopis during their conversation. So Vedic conversation means not speaking about mundane politics and so on. Vedic conversation means you quote from histories, from itihasas, from Puranas, that this is what had happened. So therefore this is also a situation like this and so on. So Nanda Maharaj's understanding of why Indra worship has to be performed from the context of what we are seeing here, we can understand it. It's because in previous times also such kind of situation has happened, where 12-year drought, if rain does not come for 1 or 2 years also, it's a very horrible situation for all living entities, specifically when the sun burns down during summer. And for 12 years, if there is no rain, then it's a very horrible situation. So all the citizens, which includes human beings, animals, birds, and so on, everybody suffers. So this is there. And similar kind of situation also happened. Again, there are several instances. We'll be discussing a couple of these instances. This also happened when Maharaj Shantanu became the king. So this is mentioned in Bhagavatam. It comes in the 9th canto. When Maharaj Shantanu became the king, then there was a drought. Only because he became the king. And Bhagavatam explains that Shantanu had 3 brothers. Along with him, there were 3 brothers. There's Devapi, Shantanu, and Bahalik. And Devapi was the eldest brother. But Devapi was not interested to rule, so he went to the forest. And Shantanu, who was the second son, he became the king. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he mentions that in the presence of the elder brother, the younger brother should not get married and start enjoying family life and then become the king also. So because of that minor fault, Indra did not give any rain to that land. And when he consulted the Brahmanas, then they said that you have to bring back Devapi back and he should become the king, and then only these things can be mitigated. But then people are very happy under Shantanu Maharaj's rule and they did not want to disturb it. So there was one Brahmana, one minister, whose name was Ashvavara. So the Ashvavara, without the knowledge of Maharaj Shantanu, he went to Devapi and then he started speaking to him some atheistic philosophy contrary to the Vedic principles. And why did he do that? Because he wanted to prove that Devapi was actually not fully fixed up in dharma, whereas Maharaj Shantanu was fixed up in dharma. So when Devapi heard all these different kinds of contrary Vedic philosophies, atheistic arguments, Devapi became completely mesmerized by that, and he gave up the Vedic principles. His Vedic understanding completely got corrupted. And then Maharaj Shantanu went to Devapi along with his ministers and tried to convince him to take back his kingdom. Devapi started speaking all anti-Vedic philosophy. So everybody understood that Devapi should not be made as the king. So they all came back, and Indra, he became satisfied. He understood that Devapi was actually not qualified. So therefore, after that, rain started to pour. So only because the elder brother, the younger brother got married before the elder brother, there was no rain. So like that, there are all these small faults. Small fault or small simple sinful activities you perform, then Indra stops rain. So like that, there are other instances also. So there is this famous story. It's a famous story with respect to Ramayana about Trishanku. But then in Harivamsha, the previous activities of Trishanku is mentioned. So his name was Satyavrata. His name was Satyavrata. Trishanku's name was actually Satyavrata, and he was the son of Trayaruna. So they all belong to Ikshvaku dynasty. So Trayaruna was his father. So Satyavrata was very frivolous in nature. So what he did, when a Brahmin girl was getting married, he kidnapped that Brahmin girl because he was attracted to her, and he took her away from that marriage ceremony. So when his father, Trayaruna, he came to know about this, he became completely disgusted, and for this activity of kidnapping that Brahmin girl from the marriage ceremony, there was drought in the kingdom for 12 years again. And because Trayaruna did not deal with the situation properly, what he did basically was he banished Satyavrata to go away from this kingdom, and then he also retired to the forest. But actually, what he should have done is he should have tried to mitigate that situation, but then he left the kingdom out of disgust and he also went to the forest, and Satyavrata was banished from the kingdom, so there was no king at that time. So all these things, they combined together and there was no rain for 12 years. So during this time, Vasishtha was the family priest. So Vasishtha has been the family priest for the Ikshvaku dynasty for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So he was the family priest. So he was administering all the kingdom. And then he had this desire that Satyavrata will perform austerities for 12 years. And after that, the son of Satyavrata will be established, will be coronated as the next king. That was Vasishtha's point. But then, because when Trayaruna, he banished Satyavrata from the kingdom, Vasishtha did not protest. Or not protest, he did not say anything. So Satyavrata, because of his frivolous nature, he was angry at Vasishtha also. And all these things, all this is complicated, they came together and there was no rain for 12 years. Now during this time, when there was no rain, Satyavrata was, actually Trayaruna, he asked Satyavrata to go and mingle and be in the association of the Chandalas. So he started eating meat at that time. And Vishwamitra was performing austerities in a similar kingdom. But then Vishwamitra had his wife and his children also. So this story comes in Harivamsha. So when Vishwamitra went to perform tapasya, then because of this drought, because of this famine, there was nothing to eat in Vishwamitra's house. So the wife of Vishwamitra, she took her son. She had many children. So she took her son and thought that she will sell her son. And then by whatever money, or not money, but whatever cows she get, she'll be able to feed her other children. So Satyavrata was there at that time. So he stopped Vishwamitra's wife from doing so, and he said, I will provide for you, you don't have to do these things. So because he was with the Chandalas, he used to kill animals, he used to eat meat, and the same meat he used to give to Vishwamitra's wife also. Okay, so that also happened. And that way Vishwamitra's family was taken care of. And when no animal was found, one day no animal was found by Satyavrata. So what he did, he saw the Kamadhenu cow that Vasishtha had, and anyway he had this grudge on Vasishtha. So he killed that cow and then he ate that meat and gave it to Vishwamitra's family also. So Vasishtha became very angry at that point. And then he came and told that you had performed a sinful activity by kidnapping that Brahmin girl, and I thought if you perform 12 years of austerity, which Satyavrata was actually started to perform out of providence, he automatically got that idea, maybe a Paramatma's inspiration, and he was performing that tapasya. And at the same time he was doing these things also. But Vasishtha said, you had only one sin, right? And that sin is named as Shanku. So you had one Shanku. You have one Shanku, but then you have killed a Kamadhenu cow also. That's the second sin. And third sin is that you are killing animals, you are eating their meat, and then you are feeding it to Vishwamitra's family also. So because you have committed these three sinful activities, therefore your name should be Trishangu. And that's how his name came to be Trishangu. This was going on. But then when Vishwamitra came back after performing his tapasya, he found that Satyavrata has been taking care of his family very nicely. And by the potency of Vishwamitra's tapasya, when he entered in that particular region, rains automatically came. Okay, so rain came and then all the situation was mitigated, and Vishwamitra was very happy with Satyavrata, and he said, no, you tell me, you ask a boon from me. And this is when Trishanku asked that I want to go to the heavenly planets in my self-same body. And then the story, as it is given in the Ramayana, that continues. So again, just by kidnapping that Brahmin girl from the Sabha, this entire complicated situation happened. There was no rain for 12 years. So the point, anyway, we diverted to all these different stories. The point is that Indra get dissatisfied very quickly. So that is there. So if we stop doing a worship like this, then we may be put into a difficult situation, which actually happened in Vrindavan. This time Indra did not stop rain. He actually poured lots of rain. So it was the other way around this time. Right? And there was another this thing also, which is more instructive for our case. In the same Ikshvaku dynasty, there was Mandhata, a great king, and he was the son of Yavanashva. So again, there's a story behind Mandhata's this thing also. But Mandhata was very, very famous. He was very famous and he was very powerful king. And in his kingdom also, there was a drought. So now he wanted to understand what was the reason behind it. So he counseled with his ministers. Nobody was able to tell anything. So he thought, okay, I'll go and visit some powerful rishis in the forest and try to find out what exactly is the problem. Because he's been doing dharmic activities. He has given charity, this, that and all. Whatever Kshatriya duties a king is supposed to perform, he performed all that. So he was not able to understand what was the reason why rain is not coming. Because when there is no rain, it is to be understood that the king is not performing his duties properly. And we have seen all these stories also. When the king does not perform his duties, the rain automatically stops. And Mandhata was such a pious king that there was no reason that rain should be stopped. So, so he wanted to know. So he went to the forest, and in the forest he met Angira Rishi. And he asked him, why this is so, why there is no rain. And Angira Rishi said, in your kingdom, there is a Shudra who is performing tapasya. You have to, because he is performing an adharmic activity, you have to go and kill him. And then the situation will be mitigated. Now, similar kind of story is there in Lord Ramachandra's life also. But Mandhata at this point, he says, no. Only because he is performing austerity, I cannot kill an innocent man like this. You tell me if there is anything else that can be done. Then Angira Rishi, he recommends him to perform Ekadashi Vrata. He says there is a Devashayani. Sorry, Devashayani? This is Devashayani Ekadashi, which is called as Shayana Ekadashi or Padma. It comes in June, July time. So he says if you perform that Ekadashi, then automatically all the sins will be absolved of this Shudra performing austerities and rain will come. So Maharaj Mandhata, what he did not try to please Indra. He performed Ekadashi for Krishna, and that way rain came. So this is an instruction for the devotees. This is what we are supposed to do. And of course, there are other instances also, which is there in different shastra with respect to rain not coming because of truti, because of some discrepancy in performing the duties of a king. And Nanda Maharaj did not want to get into that kind of situation where he stops worshipping Indra and then there is no welfare for his citizens. So that's the understanding. And of course, Nanda Maharaj knew all these instances as we discussed. So he knew about it. And being a king, he's supposed to protect his citizens. And in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna did speak about this. He says that one should perform Devan bhavayatanina te deva bhavayantu parasparam bhavayanta shreya param avapsita. So when Devan bhavayatanina te deva bhavayantu, so as human beings perform sacrifices for devatas, then the devatas become pleased. And parasparam bhavayanta, by pleasing each another, shreya param avapsita. So each one of the devatas and the human beings, each of the devatas or rather devatas and the human beings, they can nourish each other. So when Brahmanas perform sacrifice for the devatas get nourishment out of it. Offerings are being made. And because these Brahmanas are very qualified, these offerings are then accepted by the devatas and then they get benefit because of the Brahmanas offerings. And similarly, when the devatas are pleased, then they are ready to give all kinds of auspicious, or they shower auspiciousness, shreya, to all the people. So that is there. So although Krishna mentions this, but at the same time, before, if you see, this is 3:11, this is chapter 3, text 11. In text 9 and 10, Krishna establishes how this yajna is to be performed. So apparently it may seem that Krishna is recommending Devata yajna here in the 11th verse. But if we see the 9th verse, it's yajnathat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So yajnathat karmanonyatra. So yajna here means Lord Vishnu. So sacrifice has to be performed for Lord Vishnu. Otherwise, such kind of sacrifice or whatever sacrifice not performed, or whatever activities one performs which is not done as part of sacrifice, it binds one to this material world. So tadartham karma kaunteya. So one should perform sacrifices for the sake of Lord Vishnu. Tad artham karma kaunteya. And that way, Mukta Sangha Samachar, one becomes free from material reactions. In the next verse, he says, Sahayagya Praja Srishtva Purovacha Prajapati. So here Prajapati does not mean Lord Brahma. Prajapati refers to Lord Vishnu. And he says, Sahayagya Praja Srishtva. When he created all the human beings, when he created Praja, then he created it along with the Yagya also. So prescribed duties are created along with the human beings. So it's not that human beings were created first and then Krishna recommends the prescribed duties. The prescribed duties are born along with the human beings. So they are together. And Anena Prasavishadvam Eshvos Tvishta Kamadhu. So whoever has any desires, if he performs such kind of sacrifices, then all his desires will be fulfilled. And after this only, he speaks this verse, Devan Bhavayatanina. So when the worship of Devatas is being done, or the sacrifices for demigods is done, it is done with the understanding that the Devatas are actually limbs, they are actually part and parcels, they are administrators of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Yagya actually means to do worship for Lord Vishnu. It is for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu and not for the Devatas. So that also is to be understood. Right. And two more words Nanda Maharaj uses here. Varmucham Patim Ishwaram. So Patim means the master and Ishwaram means the powerful controller. So the Acharyas, while commenting on this, they say that when Nanda Maharaj uses this word Ishwaram, he's actually referring to the Paramatma within the heart of Indra. So although externally he's worshipping Indra, but he understands that it's the Ishwara, it's the Paramatma within the heart of Indra whom he is worshipping, and that he is the master. So he has proper understanding with which he is doing this kind of worship. So that's the Guhya Artha. This is the internal meaning. And of course, this is also mentioned in this Shvetashvatara Upanishad, that Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram, Tam Devatanam Paramam Cha Devatam, Patim Patinam Paramam Parastad, Vidama Devam Bhuvanesha Idyam. So it's not that okay, Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram. So Tam refers to that person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram. Among all the different Ishwaras, he is Maheshwaram. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Tam Devatanam Paramam Cha Devatam. Among all the Devatas, that one person is the Supreme Devata. Patim Patinam. Of all the masters, he is the Supreme Master. Paramam Parastad. Paramam means Patim Patinam Paramam. Of all the Patis, of all the masters, he is the Supreme Master. And Parastad. And there is one more qualification also, that he is beyond this material world. He is Paraha. He is beyond this material world. He does not belong to this material world as the other Devatas are. And Vidama Devam Bhuvanesham Idyam, which basically means it's not that only we are speaking this, the Devatas also know about it. Vidama Devam Bhuvanesham Idyam. All the Devatas are also aware of this particular fact. So when this particular verse, it speaks about, or rather Nanda Maharaj is speaking, Varmucham Patim Ishwaram, then the way it is to be understood, Acharya's commentary is that this Patim and Ishwaram actually refers to the Paramatma within the heart of Indra. So whenever such worship happens, then one is worshipping the super soul within the heart. And this is also the case when Brahmanas chant this Brahma Gayatri. So Brahma Gayatri, the direct meaning or the external meaning looks like one is worshipping Surya Dev. And Brahmanas chant Gayatri during morning, afternoon, evening, the specific times when Surya Dev has to be worshipped. When the Karmakandi Brahmanas, they perform Sandhya Vandana, at that point the Gayatri is being chanted. But Bhagavatam in the 5th canto, Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he writes it very clearly that when Gayatri is being chanted, and the mantra, although apparently it may seem that it's worshipping Surya Dev, but it is Surya Narayana, is the Narayana within the Paramatma within the heart of Surya Dev, who is being meditated upon and who is being worshipped by the Brahmanas when they chant Brahma Gayatri. So in this case also, Srila Jiva Goswami, he comments that the Ishvara and Patim, which Nanda Maharaj speaks in this verse, actually refers to the Paramatma. And Nanda Maharaj, he is, so although apparently, here it sees that other people are doing it, so that's why I am also doing it. Then the Dravyais tad retasa siddhair. And he also says this Dravya, and it's not that, it's important, or he's trying to convince Krishna of this importance point, that Dravyais tad retasa siddhair, which means all the Dravya, all the items which we are using to worship Indra, all these items we actually get from Indra alone. So therefore, because Indra is providing us all these items, we are worshipping, or just like Ganga water is given to Ganga for worshipping Ganga. Similarly, all these different items which we have, which we possess, and through which we are going to worship Indra, all these items are given to us by Indra only. And if you see the preparations that Nanda Maharaj made, different types of food items have been prepared for worshipping Indra, and of course it was later channeled, directed towards Govardhan worship. But all these different items, all these food items were prepared for Indra's worship, and these food items, of course, are when only rain comes. When rain comes, then only this food, when the grains will grow, the vegetables will grow, the fruits will grow, the trees will grow, and so on. So all these things are given by Indra, therefore we are worshipping Indra with these particular items. That is the point. But then, as Krishna will clarify in future in Bhagavad Gita, that all these materials, all the dravya, bhumi, rapo, nalo, vayu, khammano, buddhirevacha, ahankar, etiyame, bhinna, prakriti, rashrada, all these different elements which are actually so-called nourished by Indra, they all are his bhinna prakriti. Everything comes from Lord Narayana alone, and it is not Indra who is the actual proprietor. Apparently, it may seem that he is the one who is delivering the goods, but it is not so. It is the Supreme Lord Narayana who is to be worshipped in that way. So all these things will be clarified. In the purport also it is mentioned that Nanda Maharaj patiently tried to explain the facts of life to his young son. All these things are facts of life, that we have to worship Indra. There will be so many historical instances where such kind of worship was not done, because of which there was drought, people suffered. I, being a king, have to perform these kind of activities so that the citizens do not suffer. And then we are not doing something which is out of ordinary. Everybody else is doing it. All the different people are doing it. All the other kings also in different villages are performing this puja. And this is mentioned in the Shastra also. And whatever activities, whatever items we are using to perform this worship, that is also given by Indra, which we can directly see as well. So therefore, these are facts of life, and therefore this particular puja has to be performed. But then, from a devotional point of view, from Krishna's point of view, we will see in future verses that, but in fact, this is what is mentioned in the purport. Nanda Maharaj patiently tried to explain the facts of life to his young son, Sri Krishna. But in fact, Nanda and all the residents of Vrindavan would learn an astonishing lesson as explained in this chapter. So as it goes on, then we will see that Devatas are actually not independent. They are not doing anything out of ordinary. It is their duty to perform these activities. And if Krishna is pleased, then the Devata is actually bound to give benefits to people. And this was also mentioned by Srila Prabhupada. When he came to Hyderabad, there has been 2 years drought when Prabhupada came to Hyderabad. And when he landed, then a reporter asked him, so what is your philosophy? Is it Advaita or Dvaita? And Prabhupada responded, what is the use of this question? What is the use of this question? Your people are not having rain. The rain has not fallen on this city for a long time. You are not performing. You are all sinful people. He did not say all this. I am paraphrasing, of course. So the meaning that he intended, Srila Prabhupada intended, was that because you do not know what is dharma, you do not know how to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no rain. What is the point of having this intellectual understanding of what is Dvaita, Advaita, and so on? One should perform Sankirtan Yajna, and that way rains will come. And it happened. So 2 days, all his disciples, they went on for Harinam Sankirtan all over the city. On the 3rd day, there was heavy rain. So in Kali Yuga also, at this point of time, we saw some instances, some 2-3 instances from Shastra, that for small discrepancies by the king, there is no rain. But then if we see the modern situation, then there should be drought for thousands of years, literally, for all the sinful activities being done by the leaders, so-called leaders of the society. But that is not being so. And rain does fall, right? That's because of the presence of devotees. Because devotees are there. Devotees are performing Sankirtana Yajna. Devotees are performing devotion. So only for that, there is still rain. There is still regulation in the society. Outside people will not be able to understand. But then, this is the fact. So when dharma is performed, and Kali Yuga dharma is Harinam Sankirtan, when dharma is performed, then the devatas are bound to give rains, although we may not be worshipping these devatas. And in fact, even if one says that, we will perform Indra Yajna, this, that, and all, there are no means. There are no qualified brahmanas, there are no means, and one cannot follow all the rituals also worshipping these different demigods the way it is recommended in the Shastra. So anyway, devata worship will be full of faults. And because of these faults, there will be no rain. Correct? Indra will not be satisfied because it's not strictly according to scriptural injunctions, and there are no qualified brahmanas. So anyway, it is not possible to satisfy Indra to bring rain. So the only respite or the only thing that is left is to perform Harinam Sankirtan, please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The way Mandhata did, performed Ekadashi, forget Indra. And actually, in this story comes in Mahabharata, I think, and in Bhagavatam also. In Bhagavatam also it comes in 9th chapter, 9th canto, 7th chapter, I think it comes. So where it's mentioned that Indra actually was not willing to give rain, but because Mandhata performed Ekadashi, Indra was forced to give rain. This comes in Mahabharata. So he was forced. So although because of this apparent dharmic discrepancies, or rather the small discrepancies of a Shudra performing this tapasya, Indra was not willing to give rain, but because he performed Ekadashi, Indra was forced. Indra was forced. He was forced to give rain because the Supreme Lord is satisfied. What else there to? So Devatas are not independent in that way. So they are also dependent on the Lord. So that is how it is to be understood. So I'll stop here. Have any questions? So these instances may seem very fantastic or may seem like a fantasy or a mythological story, but these things actually happened given in the Shastra. So we should have faith. We should have faith in these things. And although Nanda Maharaj, he wants to perform this yajna for the welfare of his citizen, but the basic point is, like, just by making Krishna happy, by feeding him within his own house, he's actually satisfying everybody else. He's satisfying all the devatas just by giving him, by offering Krishna food. One day he offers Krishna food, all the devatas are automatically satisfied. So Nanda Maharaj should understand that. Actually, it's a pastime. Of course, Nanda Maharaj knows about this. Any questions? Any comments? Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah, this culture is lost. Correct. So, as Kali Yuga progresses and the devotees go back to Godhead, and as devotees reduce, of course, no, Bhagavatam also speaks that Kali Yuga everything diminishes. So that is there. There's no conception of dharma. Yeah, that's the understanding. Okay. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.